right, so what we're going to do, we're going to learn about solving systems of equations by eliminations, part 4. The first one, part 1, was where they were already ready to just be added, right? Right, just to review. We did like 2x minus 3y equals 10, and 5x plus 3y equals 11. Look, we could have added them right away because the coefficients in front of the y are the same number but opposite signs, right? And so these would be eliminated immediately just by adding the two equations, right? And then we did it like this, where it said minus 3y, right? And then we realized, oh, well, wait a minute, now we need one of them to be positive, right? So we multiplied this by negative 1, in essence, right? That was part 2. Part 3 was something like this, right? Where you had 2 and 5. You can't really turn 2 into a 5 very easily, but you could turn 3 into a 6, right? We got negative 3. We want this to be positive. We want this to be positive 6, maybe. We got negative 6, and then, so you'd multiply this by negative 2 to turn that into positive 6, right?
Yeah.
Everybody remember all this?
Yeah.
That was last night's, or whenever we did it.
Yesterday.
Yesterday
Before.
But sometimes you have problems like the ones I put up on the board. What would you do? Lucas.
Multiply the top equation by negative 2 and then multiply the bottom equation by 3. Then you have negative 8x plus 6y equals negative 16 and 15x minus minus 6y
Wait.
equals
Yes.
negative 33.
Okay, let's just, we'll get to the actual, what that gives us in a second. What did he just do?
He just made it so that
Irene.
multiply the other one by the other one, and then
So he realized that he couldn't multiply one equation by something. And you guys, what are you doing? Is this tape? Is this our tape? The school's tape? Are we playing with the tape? The paper clips? Okay, can we stop? I'd rather you guys really focus right now, okay? This is kind of important. This is the hardest part. This is where you have to really stay attentive, right? Because this is the hardest part. Is I can't multiply 4 times anything to get 5. I can't multiply 3 times anything to get 2, or 2 times anything to get 3, right? Therefore, I have to multiply both equations to get the same number, right? So I could always take this. I will choose the lowest numbers, right? I notice my coefficients in front of the y's are smaller than my coefficients in front of the x's, right? I don't have to do this, but I often do this. I'll choose my lower ones, my smaller ones, so that I'm dealing with smaller numbers. And I could multiply. It's sort of like thinking about what the common denominator would be between 2 and 3. You know what I mean? If you were adding fractions and 2 and 3 was in the denominator, what would be your common denominator? 6, right? Yes? Right? Because 6 is the first number that both 2 and 3 go into, right? So we want this to say, one of them to say positive 6 and one of them to say negative 6. Why don't we make this one say positive, this one say negative? So we'll just multiply this by 3 times this 2, right? And this 2 times this 3. Only one of them's got to be a different sign. Whoops, sorry. So we'll make that a negative 3. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I could have made it negative 2 and positive 3. But I chose to do it that way. Just because I want to get rid of that negative 11. Does that make sense? It's not that big a deal. But all right. Fist of 5. Do you guys understand the theory?
Yeah.
You do? Everybody understand the reason and how we're doing that? Okay, so now we have to multiply them out. So I might just put them right next to it. 2 times 4x is 8x. Minus 2 times 3 is 6y. 2 times equals 2 times 8 is 16. And then I have negative 15x. And then I have positive 6y. And then I have positive 33. Okay?
Whoa.
Is that what you got, Lucas? Is that how you did
Yeah.
it? And then now we are ready. Look, we have a negative 6y and a positive 6y. If I add these two together, the y's are eliminated. Does that make sense?
Yep. And on
Right?
the bottom, you.
So suddenly I have, what is this going to be?
7, negative 7.
Negative 7x is equal to 49, is that right?
Yeah.
And then I can divide by negative 7, and that gives me x is equal to negative 7. Right? Positive divided by negative is a negative. Remember that? Okay? All right. Are all these written down? You got all this stuff written down? All of it written down? Two. You have the negative 7, this, everything? Right? Make sure it's written down. It isn't. I just looked. But do this part. Write that down in your notes. Okay, yes. And then we got to figure out why, right? So we're gonna take this and we're gonna go back to one of the two original equations, right? We're not gonna go back to this. We're gonna go back to either this or this. I'm gonna choose the top one. If x is negative 7, 4 times negative 7 is negative 28. Minus 3y equals 8. Everybody understand what I'm doing?
Gary, if you do it on the other one, will you have the same answer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you just choose whichever one you feel motivated to try.
Okay.
All right?
It doesn't matter, though?
It doesn't matter, because in order for it to be an answer, that point has to be true for both equations.
I see.
See what I mean? So now I'm going to add 28, right? And that gives me negative 3y is equal to 36, right? And I'm going to divide by negative 3.
Y equals
Can you guys
12.
see okay? And then I've got y is equal to negative 12. Make sense? Pretty easy, really.
I just want to write this down.
But this is, you see why I don't start with these though,
Yeah.
when I teach these? Because it takes a while to just get used to the process. And so by having it separated into 4 parts, it makes it like, this is not so hard.
No.
Once you understand what you're trying to do. Okay, so let's look at number 2.
Is there a part 5?
Wait.
What?
There's
Is
part
this
1
the
through
last
4.
part?
This is basically the last part before we do word problems. I have to
No,
talk
no
about
word
it,
problems.
but they're not so bad. They're actually, you're going to use this process, and they're actually kind of fun. So I look at this. I have my coefficients in front of the x's, Rico, are 7 and 5. What would you do? And negative 6 and negative 4.
Well,
What would you do? Okay. And what would be your lowest common denominator? 12. Okay, so what would I multiply 6 by to get 12? 2. What would I multiply 4 by to get 12? 3. Okay, now so first we get the numbers. Now let's get the signs. These are both negative. I want to make one of these negative. It really doesn't matter. Which one do you want to make negative? 2. So it's going to be negative 2. Rico says negative 2. So we'll just do that. Okay? So negative 14x, right? And then negative 2 times negative 6 is plus 12y is equal to 2, right? And then 15x minus 12y is equal to 3, right? That makes sense?
Yep.
Now we're ready to add them. Look, we have a positive 12y and a negative 12y. They eliminate. Question. 3 times 5x is 15x.
Gary,
Right? I got to multiply this times all 3 things. This 3.
Why isn't there negative 7? Oh, that's the top.
Because that's the top one.
Yeah, that's the top one, that's the
yeah,
bottom.
this one is the top one. This one's the bottom. Sorry. Yeah.
Gary.
I would have put it here, but I'm going to be off the video. That's why I put it there. And then,
do you make problems for homework like these, or do you just find them on the internet?
a lot of these I made,
Wow, that's
but
a lot.
but it's a lot of work.
Because it has to be perfect and everything.
Right. And so 15 minus 14 is just x, right? So x is equal to 5. Oh my gosh, that's so easy. We didn't have to do anything.
Y is equal to 6.
Right? I just added them together and I got
You're
x
just like, boom.
equals 5. And then y, I think I'll do this one.
God.
Let's see, yeah, that's right. 15 times 5 minus 12y equals 3. Okay, so 15 times 5, 5 times 10 is 50, 5 times 25, 75.
Y equals 6.
minus 12y equals 3. We're going to subtract 75.
Y equals 6.
Guys, stop.
Negative 12y is equal to negative
Negative 72.
72.
6.
So divide by negative 12.
Y equals 6.
And it's a good thing I did this so that you guys knew that y equals 6.
Y equals
Phew.
6.
Man. All right. It's hard to keep up with you guys. It's
Y
not that
equals
hard.
6.
Fist to 5. I just want to know if you feel like you have a pretty clear.
It's really simple and easy.
Okay. Awesome. I'm going to stop it.